Hello and welcome to the design behind Vampire Absolution. I am David Tavares. I developed and designed Vampire Absolution, and I will be your guide for this video. Please allow me to give a brief description of what Vampire Absolution is. It was created for Vampire Jam 2021. It's based on the tabletop role-playing game Vampire the Masquerade. It's a narrative third-person action RPG. There are 3 playable characters to choose from. There's a main quest line and side quests. I did most of the design and development, although I appreciated the great talent from several voice actors that helped me voice the characters. This video will be divided up into multiple sections. Feel free to skip ahead on the timeline if there are some sections that interest you more than the others. I'll start with a plot summary. Then we'll talk about the player characters and their abilities. Then I'll discuss the tutorial quest and how that was designed. Then we'll talk a little bit about the NPCs and how they interact with the characters. Then we'll get to Alderwood and the layout of the city itself and the main quest. And then I'll end up with a postmortem of my final thoughts of the design of this game.
Nights like this remind me what it was like to be alive. The fear, the uncertainty, the desperation. We had thought the troubled times were behind us, that the fight was over. Oh, how wrong we were. We looked to our dauntless leader, Prince Craven, to bring about a new age in the city of Alderwood. The last thing anyone expected to happen was for our prince to lose all their humanity, rampage through the streets, and expose us all.
What you just heard was the acting of the talented Megan McCauley, who voiced the NPC Xylena, a character which also serves as the narrator to the story. I'll talk more about Xylena in the NPC portion of this video. This voiceover is heard once you enter the game after selecting a character. The intent is to set the mood and give the player an idea of who the player character is, and what the world of darkness they are about to enter is like. Absolution has 3 playable characters for the player to choose from at the start of the game. From left to right in this image, we have the uncompromising Jasmine of the enigmatic Banu Hakim clan, the determined Juan of the treacherous clan Tremere, and the scheming Kendra of the Malkavian clan of lunatics. Each character has 2 vampiric powers, referred to as disciplines, which are determined by their clan. The player may select one of their 2 disciplines to specialize in for a 3rd power. There are 3 disciplines total in Absolution: Dominate, Obfuscate, and Blood Sorcery. Each discipline represents one of the 3 pillars of play for Absolution, with Dominate representing dialogue, Obfuscate representing stealth, and Blood Sorcery representing combat. Each of these pillars of play, dialogue, stealth, and combat, are playable without discipline use, yet disciplines greatly enhance the character's power in the respective area.
No one makes it out alive.
Ambitious, cruel, cunning, Kendra always knew her machinations would come back to bite her in the end. At least that's what the voices would whisper. Fear rules Kendra's every thought now that her meddling in courtly affairs has contributed to Prince Craven becoming a mindless, rampaging beast. Wait, can you hear Kendra's thoughts? Shh. Don't tell anyone. You would not want to blab about Kendra's secrets, would you? She would not take that kindly. Kendra, voiced by the talented Abby Ekenezer, is the first of 3 playable characters in Absolution. As a Malkavian, she is prone to murmuring nonsense, sometimes with a hint of impossible insight or prophecy. Kendra has access to the Dominate and Obfuscate disciplines, making her proficient in both bending minds in social situations and stealth approaches when there are enemies to be avoided. In the example shown, you can see the player selected a specialty in Obfuscate, giving Kendra both the base power of Unseen Passage, which effectively makes her invisible while undetected, and the advanced power Vanish, which allows Kendra to become invisible even after being detected. This character creation screen was designed to give the player choice of which character to play and which discipline the character will specialize in for this playthrough. The intent was to give players meaningful choices, yet keep the character creation quick, simple, and easy to understand. Let's move on to the next playable character.
Time to end this creature, once and for all.
Athletic, determined, unyielding, Jasmine is a no-nonsense professional. Once you hire her, you know she can get the job done, with no living witnesses. Jasmine may have been too efficient with that lost contract. Seeing the state the city of Alderwood is in now, she regrets taking the assignment. Her word is her bond, and Jasmine followed through. The Mad Prince is now a liability to all of our kind. There was no stipulation that what it has become has to survive the night. Jasmine will have to do some pro bono cleanup. Jasmine, voiced by the talented Megan McCowley, is the second of the 3 playable characters in Absolution. As a member of the Banu Hakim, Jasmine maintains the clan's reputation of getting things done, and as the clan, you do not, nay, cannot, cross. Uncharacteristically for the clan, Jasmine has a volatile temper, resulting in a contract ledger which is dripping red. In the example shown, you can see the player selected Blood Sorcery as Jasmine's specialty discipline. The base power of Blood Sorcery is a limited time buff to both healing and damage effects, while the advanced power fires a magical bolt inflicting immense damage. Both powers are highly effective in combat situations. All players have the ability to heal their wounds, but doing so will increase their hunger. Discipline use will also increase their hunger. A full hunger bar can lead to frenzy, a state where the player will temporarily lose control of their character. Let's move on to the next playable character.
I know what this is, and I'm in grave danger.
Studious, meticulous, reserved, Juan does not seem like the type to get caught up in political drama. Normally you would find one such as Juan scouring the library for rare tidbits of arcane lore or experimenting in some eldritch laboratory. Orders from high on the pyramid of Clan Tremere placed Juan in Alderwood, where he delivered a package of utmost confidentiality for Prince Craven's claws only. Juan's loyalty to his house may be his undoing. Juan, voiced by Brian C.P. Steele, is the final of the 3 playable characters in Absolution. As a member of Clan Tremere, Juan is under constant suspicion of treachery, and few trust the clan of warlocks. Juan is greatly saddened by the part he is ordered to play by his superiors in the downfall of Alderwood. No one told Juan he could not fix what he broke, so he'll do his part, likely right before tucking his tail and returning to his masters. In the example shown, you can see that the player chose Dominate as the specialty for Juan. The base power allows for a short stun in mortals, and the user may force the mortal's hand in dialogue. The advanced version of this power affects supernatural creatures in both combat and dialogue. Dialogue in Absolution usually requires a certain line of questioning to get the answer the player is looking for. This may require having completed other quests or finding an item so that the character has knowledge of this line of questioning. Forcing dialogue resolution with Dominate will circumvent this by breaking the target's mind. Now please enjoy a small snippet of gameplay by Outstar from the World of Darkness Twitch channel.
Skates? I think I'm obfuscated right now. I heard some whispers. Let's see if this is going to work. Hello? Because the stealth attack also has a really cool animation, so I want to show it. Oh yeah, I have the little shadow around me.
Oh
see?
yeah,
This is cool.
interesting.
There we go. Did it. Yay.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I told you.
The vampire society of Alderwood is in disarray, and a rampaging elder is openly breaking the secrecy of the masquerade, drawing hunters who have declared open season on vampires. This makes hunters the most common antagonist to come across in Absolution, and the graveyard starting zone is full of these slayers. Some hunters attack with a knife, and others with a firearm. Both are more frail than a vampire and can be dispatched easily in one-on-one combat, or they can have their neck broken with a stealth kill. This is the top view map of the tutorial zone, the graveyard. The player starts behind the cathedral, and a clear path illuminated by lamplight guides the player on a possible route to the exit. The player is prompted to leave the graveyard by an on-screen text and by the voiceover of their chosen character. Making their way through the graveyard will also prompt tutorial pop-ups explaining all the controls. Opening the menu also shows this list of controls. 3 hunters block the main path, and they are clear to see by lamplight. Before the character enters their sight range, a new tutorial pop-up will appear, and the character will give a verbal cue hinting at a new method of handling the situation. The player is free to handle it however they want, regardless of this prompt. This slide shows the route of a direct confrontation in red. The tutorial prompts highly encourage discipline use, weapon use, and stealth use as the player progresses through the area. The route highlighted in yellow shows a more tactical route, where the player could get the jump on each hunter, potentially landing a stealth kill if they remain unseen. This last route is for the player who notices the telegraphed shadow of the cathedral. Sneaking behind the hill and out of the light allows a path without confrontation. The only difficult part of this path is the last bit, where the player will have to wait for the final hunter to turn or path away before exiting the cemetery gates.
Don't worry, my child. My dog Abel only eats cowards. And I can tell you have the heart of a warrior, or a lucky fool at the very least. Feel free to pet him if you mean no harm.
The first character the player might come by is easily missed initially. Morgan is voiced by the talented Eloy LaSanta. He is a priest of the heresy of Cain, a forbidden religion that has been taking advantage of not being the most clear and present danger at the moment, and converting young vampires in return for their safety. Morgan is self-righteous, but he is harmless to anyone who is not deemed a threat and is a potential convert. Morgan is appropriately taking shelter in the cathedral. The player might not know it yet, but Morgan holds a key he took from a hunter he slew, which is a main quest item. The key may be obtained early, or after the main quest clues have led the player to him. Abel, Morgan's dog, is animated to accept pets. I believe every game should have an option to pet the dog.
You say the prince is gone and beyond help. You were smart to come to me in such a dire situation. I alone may have the power to help you within the safety of my walls.
When the character leaves the graveyard, the character informs the player that there is a vampire hideout in the jazz club, and if answers are to be found, that is the place to start. When the player arrives, they will find the place cleared out, with Xylena, the owner of the club and vampire court official, being its sole occupant. She is voiced by the talented Megan McCauley. Most are fleeing the city, but Xylena chose to stay to defend her domain. This is the character who plays the narrator at the beginning of the game, and she is the witness to most of the key events. When the players don't know what to do next, Xylena is tapped into the gossip of the city so she can serve as a hint guide to the next step. Another way to look at it is Xylena is manipulating the player to do her dirty work while she hides in safety. Either way, she will point the player in the direction of the local fast food joint of all places.
You were there too? So much blood, such unnecessary death. Are you okay? Is there anything you need?
Ava, voiced by the talented Maria Amelia Park, is the leader of the radical Anarch movement in Alderwood. The Anarchs oppose the prince, yet they preferred Craven's rule to hunters slaughtering them and chaos in the streets. Ava, at heart, is a humanist and cares for humanity the same, if not more, than her own. She is staying in the city to watch over the innocents who could be harmed in the crossfire. Ava's haven is the fast food joint, and while she does not eat, she gets to observe all kinds of people there and interact with them. When talking to her, she will mention her disdain for Morgan, who she saw taking out hunters. Ava lets the player know that if anyone knows about the hunter activity, it is Morgan, who is posted up at the cathedral.
Alright. Nacho cheese flavored? My kind of chips. You are the best.
Cass, voiced by the talented Nigel Sanford, is Ava's ghoul, servant, and friend, as much as a blood slave can be a friend. He has been helping Ava keep the mortals safe, but as the bumbling buffoon he has dropped his keys in an alley, so he has no way of driving the innocents home to safety. This represents a simple side fetch quest, but it serves the purpose of pointing the player to some points of interest for exploration where they can find some helpful items. One of these items is for a hidden side quest to bring Cass some food to earn his favor. Cass never explicitly gives the player this objective, but if they read between the lines of his grumbling about starving, they will be rewarded with extra dialogue.
Take a look at 24/7's fine selection.
Dante, voiced by the talented Brian C.P. Steele, like his namesake from the movie Clerks, is the shop clerk at the local convenience store. Dante has had enough of this job, and he would quit if it was not for the money. Dante serves as the vendor in the game, where the player may buy weapons and quest items. He can also provide clues how to solve the side quest and in finding Easter eggs. Additionally, the 24/7 convenience store where he works always has the radio on. A large cast was assembled by Kevin R. Zarnecki to record a radio show for thematic immersion into the world. I'll include a link to the full radio show in this video's description. All of these NPCs are interactable via the dialogue system I designed. Dialogue is the core gameplay mechanic of Absolution, as there is much more dialogue than combat. The audio of their voiceover plays when initiating dialogue or after selecting a dialogue option that prompts a reply. Certain dialogue choices may only be used if the character has a high enough Dominate rating. Base Dominate allows the player to force the hand of mortal NPCs, and if the character has a Dominate specialty, the use of these dialogue options is unlocked for use on vampires. On this map, you can see the main playable level, the City of Alderwood. I have labeled key areas so that you can follow the possible paths to successfully finish the main quest in the game. As you can see, there are many key areas to explore and discover what is there. Vampires need to feed, so I scattered some innocents who are wandering around unknowing of the horrors which lurk in this city. Foolishly, each one has wandered into an area where nobody can hear a cry for help. This provides the player with a resource with which they can sate their hunger stat. And this also adds to the flavor that this is still a living city at night. Each innocent mortal is looking around, trying to find their way home and not understanding why most of the city has cleared out. Normally, this area would be bustling with people riding the metro, going out for late dinner, or attending one of the various nightclubs. Soon enough, the innocent finds out why everyone else has fled. Approaching a victim from behind allows the player to gorge on their blood, providing the character with a clean slate on their hunger rating. The squares show locations of the theme-building elements or Easter eggs, adding to the discovery of the area. I already spoke about the radio show playing at the convenience store. Here are a few more examples. You will find many missing cat posters around Alderwood. Are the residents simply careless with their feline companions, or is something insidious happening to their furry friends? Most people are unaware of the existence of the supernatural, but the hunters can become suspicious with signs like this, drawing the Inquisition into the area. I am particularly fond of this Easter egg as it has a double meaning, but it's also a pretty deep cut. This is the collectible for a diegetic video game called Lineage 2 Revenant the Ravishing. Allow me to explain. In a world of darkness, there is a fourth wall breaking tabletop game called Revenant the Ravishing. And since Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is still in production, well, as of this video at least, I thought this parallel would be amusing. There are 3 core areas the player must go to in order to finish the main quest. Since the goal of the main quest is to put down Prince Craven, the player must first find him. Through exploring, the player can learn that the hunters have been tracking Craven and may know where the prince is. Morgan holds a key to the hunter's hideout near point 1 on this map. The key unlocks the Hostel, which is point 2, where the hunters are holed up, which is also the location as the report detailing that there is a rampaging monster that has been cornered in the metro, which is point 3. Delving deep into the metro is where the final confrontation takes place. It is possible to bypass much of the exploration if the player is lucky or is trying to speedrun the game. The key is easy to find early on if the player explores the Cathedral right away, but the entrance to the Hostel is a bit more difficult to spot. The metro is an obvious landmark, but it is barricaded at first. This blockage is removed as the quest progresses. The Cathedral looms over the tutorial area with no entrance to be found in the graveyard. This is so the player can wonder what is inside, a curiosity which is rewarded by a way in after completing the tutorial. It serves as the landmark denoting the start of the main game, and is a critical quest area. Exploring further into the city, the player can now see a bright sign for the 24/7 convenience store, after which there are other buildings with good illumination. This is to signify to the player that there are important areas to explore in this direction. Going this way, the player will have to bypass the metro. It stands out due to the unique architecture. The goal here is to plant a seed of this location in the player's memory, so that they feel like they know where to look after they find the Hunter's Report in the Hostel. By following the provided quest information and clues the player may find, will likely result in this blue path for the player before starting the critical path in red, allowing them to explore the bulk of the area and meet the key vampire characters. Additionally, the player might want to do the side quests and meet some of the mortal NPCs. This will lead them on the yellow path, which they may follow at any point during the adventure. If the player has the Hunter's Key obtained from Morgan, they may access the Upsway Hostel, confront some more of the Hunters, and gain the information on the Hunter's Report. The Hunters are beyond being reasoned with, and they know the player is coming. Despite this, a stealth approach is possible, as the player sneaks onto the roof from a nearby window. The Hunters are all on a patrol, so the player can evade them all, take them out one by one, or attack all three guns blazing. Once this area is cleared, the player knows where to find Prince Craven. After passing some blood-splattered hallways, it should be clear to the player that the Hunters who went down here did not succeed in slaying the beast, so it is now up to their character. Craven is stronger and more resilient than the Hunters the player has previously fought. Craven also has a tight pathing in a small space, so stealth is trickier yet still possible. If the player did not choose the combat options, a direct attack will be tough to win. But if the player gets a jump on Craven, or stealth kills the prince, the encounter is simple. Killing the prince completes the main quest. Now for some final words. When developing this game, I learned how hard it is to make a game solo, especially in a limited time. I was not entirely alone, however, as I was able to assemble an amazing cast of voice actors who blew me away with their performances. I enjoyed writing their lines and editing their audio. Vampire Absolution will not have a sequel, yet I hope to continue its spirit in my future projects. Absolution was launched in Unreal Engine 4, but the screenshots you have seen are from the Unreal Engine 5 version of the game. All my future projects will be developed in Unreal Engine 5, as it is my preferred medium. I am grateful for each opportunity and each failure I had along this journey. I appreciate the fans of this game and those who have supported me. Thank you for watching this video. This has now concluded the design behind Vampire Absolution.